Hi, folks. I'm Amit Shetty with the IB Tech Lab, and I run the programmatic anti-fraud and brand safety efforts at the Tech Lab. I'm very excited about this workshop because it's very timely and relevant in these days, and we have a great speaker lined up for this discussion. So we'll be covering brand safety challenges with UGC content, user-generated content, and we have Anand Cabanas, the Managing Director of Global Business Solutions from TikTok. So Anand will start the presentation, and then we'll have a fireside chat afterwards, a virtual fireside chat, if you will, on the topic. So Anand, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Amit. It's lovely to be with you guys tonight. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope it's okay. Give me 1 second. Right. So welcome to the world of brand safety. The world of brand safety for TikTok. I think we're very delighted to be with you tonight. This is our sort of new narrative that we're going to the market with, and this is the first time that we get a chance to expose it to the IB community. So thank you so much for having us tonight. And I guess before I start the content, it's very important to realize that although we're a young company, we are building now a function of the future of our company. It's very important to realize that TikTok has been in market for most European countries since August 2018. So it's a little less than 2 years across Europe. And so as we think about our growth in the future, we think about safety, we think about transparency, and we think about accountability across the market where we operate. And as I just said, we're just getting started. The company is really young. We grew to up to 2,000 employees across Europe in the past 12 months. We have now 6 offices across Europe, all in continental Europe plus Dublin and London. We have 100 million users across Europe, which is an absolutely tremendous growth. We've had 6 times growth in 2020, which is obviously a fabulous number. And likewise in the US, we have more than 100 million users in that region also. So we're only getting started. That's the message. It's a young company, 2 years old. And obviously our number one priority is to make this place safe for users, but also for brands. And so when we speak about TikTok, we say that don't make ads, make TikTok, which is very much our marketing campaign. And the main reason that we say that is because people come to the platform with a very specific agenda. TikTok is very unique in the way you interact with the content. It's a feel-good platform. TikTok is made for everyone. It's embracing the new pop culture. We're setting trends on the platform. And also TikTok is very inclusive. I think the number one key message that you need to remember as brand is that you need to be authentic. Whether you're a user, or whether you're a brand, you need to show a new side of your brand. And I think we're here as a team across the market, across the European market, to help you make that. Also, as you know, music is super important on the platform, which is why we also have a very strong say when it comes to music and helping brands build formats which have the right music and making sure it engage the user with the right content and the right music. So don't make ads, make TikTok. This is our tagline. And I will go straight into sort of how we make it brand safe for the brands that we work with. I think the number one messaging is our number one priority as TikTok across Europe and the rest of the world is to make sure their community is feeling safe on the platform. The second aspect is making sure that we build brand safe solution across the world for advertisers and for our partners. We also want to be the one brand that champions transparency and accountability across the board. And also, last but not least, we're present in 150 different markets, 75 languages covered. We need to partner with obviously global institutions like GARM, but also local institutions in each of our market where we operate. So super important for us too. Moving to the first pillar of our brand safety environment, we want to keep our community safe. And how we do that is through a set of policies that we make in place, best practices, and also product release. So we'll go into the details on each and every feature. But the authenticity and that I just explained is super important for us, and we need to make sure that we provide a safe environment that is positive across the board for our users, but also for brands. It is highly important for us to promote an environment that is feeling vibrant, but also an environment that is feeling safe and positive. The first bits that we look into when we think about our policies, and we think about age restrictions. And I think it's really important to know that our users are welcome to join TikTok at the age of 13 and above. This is really important. We have 12 different ratings on the App Store and the Google Play Store, enabling parents to limit specific apps from their child's phone. We have blocked, and this is a major move that we made in April 2020. We actually decided to block across the board direct messagings between, and also the ability to join live stream on the platform for people who are under the age of 16. So if you're above the end of 16, you can actually direct message. If you're under the age of 16, you cannot direct message and join live stream. On the left-hand side, as you can see, we also do what we call age gating. So we make sure that the people on the platform are the right age, and we make sure to report the users who would not be in the age that they declare on the platform. And so in a nutshell, users can report underage accounts, and that's really press and hold on your screen. We also have team who moderates the content 24/7 to ensure compliance with age and restrictions. And we remove, obviously, all of the users that don't meet sort of the age restrictions on the platform. Our community guidelines 10 are really important sort of guidelines, but also super strict guidelines when it comes to positivity. And as I just mentioned, we have a responsibility towards the Gen Z and the millennials to make sure that we provide safe and positive environment on the platform. And so I would say that the community guidelines of TikTok are generally quite strict. And the most important part, I'm not going to read through the slides, but the hate speech part is really important for us, and making sure that we block any sort of hate speech. And also, I meant quite a few times the word inclusivity. This is the core, and this is why people love TikTok so much, because you don't need to have a tremendous amount of fan base to make it on TikTok the first time. You can be sitting in your living room and just do something that is playful and funny, and that actually works with our audience. The first TikTok can be your breakthrough with our audience. You don't need to have a tremendous amount of, as I said, of legacy on one platform in order to make it to your first TikTok. So that's really important that the community guidelines are clear for our users, but also for our parents. And so we will go into a bit more details in the next few slides. Really important to understand that we have a moderation around the clock that is done across 3 different markets, and it covering 50 languages and dialects. And this is done obviously by machine learning, but mostly also by human moderation. And we want to make sure that we have the right balance when it comes to moderation between AI and also human moderation in each and every market where we operate. As a little side note, I want to say that we've invested into trust and safety these past 12 months. We opened a trust and safety and also a data center based in Dublin, where when I joined the company back in March, I think we had less than 20 employees in Dublin. I think as of today, we have more than 600 employees, and by January 2021, we have 1,100 employees in Dublin only, looking after trust and safety users for our community. So it's a big investment from the company, but it's very important for us to make sure that we have a good mix and a healthy ratio of mix of technology and people moderating the content 24/7. And you're probably wondering, when we talk about AI and best practices, you're probably wondering how moderation is working. Well, we have a transparency report that we release twice per year that allows you to control and have a look at sort of the community guidelines, but also to take a look at the numbers and the ratio and the data. So on average, less than 1% of all video of TikTok make it through bypassing sort of the community guidelines. But I think the numbers that you need to keep in mind is that 96% of the violating videos globally were found and removed before they were reported to us. And I think the most impressive data is that 90% of the violating videos from our community guidelines were actually removed before they made any views on the platform. The user safety control is something that we are promoting actively on the platform. You may see sets of videos of users, and actually our top creators are also promoting heavily user safety on the platform and how to control yourself, block yourself from any sort of cyber attack. And so there's different ways, obviously, and you, on the user safety control, you can obviously block certain messages, you can also block certain comments on your videos, you can also filter some activity and block specific keywords. Obviously, you can report by pressing and holding on the videos directly. You can block specific users, and also you can have some restriction mode. But I think the most important one is that back in April 2020, we introduced the global family pairing, which allow you sort of to control the screen of your teens and making sure that you manage the screen time, but also the restricted mode and the direct messages on their app. Making sure that we build a safe environment also start with how our solutions are built. And I think when you think about the 5 formats that we have to propose to the market, each and every one has a component of brand safety on the platform. The first one is called the Brand Takeover, which is the one when you open basically your TikTok account. This is the first view that you'll have on the platform. This format is 100% viewable, but it's also probably the format that is sort of the most premium on the platform. We call it the hero format because there's only 50% agency to this format, because this is the first thing you see when you come to the platform. The top view is equivalent to the Brand Takeover, just a different type of specificities, but it's located in the same place when you open the app. We have 3 other sets of format. In-feed videos, which is located in the For You feed, is also a place where we have the ability to target specific creators in order to make sure that we control the agency before and after the video. Also, the For You feed is controlled numerously and throughout the day by many people across our teams, and it's done obviously through AI, but also human verification. The branded hashtag challenge are also heavily controlled by our moderation and trust and safety teams, making sure it's aligned with our community guidelines, but also with the brand safety and the brand suitability aspect of the brand that we work with. And lastly, the branded effect also have a very specific brand safety control that we have on the platform. And we have the ability, when we promote branded effect, to target specifically the audience that we want them to expose the branded effect. And so we just announced in the US a partnership when it comes to third-party verification. And this one is a pretty interesting one because it's a pre-bid solution. So it's pretty innovative in the space, and it's done with OpenSlate. This was announced in Q4 2020, and will potentially be rolled out outside the US next year. And so the way it works is that we do work hand in hand with OpenSlate to make sure that all of the content where we post an ad has been created before and after the video, meaning we make sure that the creator and the video have been verified through technology and obviously sharing. We have the ability to sort of send the video to OpenSlate, who send it back to us once they've controlled it. And so we make sure that the content that is adjacent to the advertising before and after has been controlled numerously. The other bits that is really important, and as I said as an introduction, it is clear for us as a company that we need to be champion in the space of transparency and accountability. And this is a big slide, so I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. But we, as I said, we release twice per year a transparency report that allows you as a brand to control exactly what the number of videos we've taken out, but also the community guidelines and how we work with the GARM. We have a monthly call with the GARM community that is based on the transparency report, making sure we align with the community and the advertising space. We also have what we call transparency and accountability centers. We will soon allow people to visit virtually our transparency center and accountability centers. This is something we're working on a virtual tour for brands to be able to see exactly what we've done. I know some brands have had a chance to see it already, and they were quite amazed by how deep and how profound into our company. User safety is how important it is from a user safety standpoint. We also have a transparency hub that you can access, where you can see also all of the transparency efforts and the transparency reports. And lastly, we are also helping brands understand how the algorithm works, especially for your For You feed, which is the feed that you see when you open the app and when you start doing all of the video binging and consuming content on the platform. And lastly, as I said, it is also a huge investment for us that we're doing in Ireland currently. And this is probably sort of the last aspect of the transparency. This is the investment that we're making in the Irish market with more than 1,100 employees by January 2021. Lastly, as I said, we're a big global brand, but we also make sure that we partner with the right people across the world where we operate. And so Europe is falls exactly into that perspective, where we have numerous markets where we operate and numerous contingency of public and non-public association that we partner with. As an example, in France, we use e-Enfance. I know IWF is also pretty important in the UK, and many other instances where we partner with NGOs. And this is the same in every market where we operate, whether it's in Japan, Korea, US, and soon in LATAM. We always make sure that we have a global view with the local perspective into how we protect our users. I will finish this presentation by saying that we, as a company, are 100% dedicated to work also with ad industry players, and also ARM is obviously a super important partnership for us. And as I said to you guys, we have a monthly community call with there where we actually making sure we align our brand suitability framework, but also we align the categories of the community guidelines, and that's making sure it's very close to the GARM working group and expectations. The UK, we work with the TAG Association, and for the French market and the German market, we work with Digital Ad Trust. So that's it for me. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Rod. That's definitely a very interesting set of content there. I guess we. Let's dive into a few questions so that we can get a little more detail too. But before we do that, just wanted to comment that from a Tech Lab point of view, brand safety is one of the areas which our members have said is very important to them, and it's something that we've been focusing on a lot as well. And actually, we've been working with the GARM and in the US and the 4A's APB as well to support that the brand suitability, the floor and suitability framework that GARM has recently released. And basically, our content taxonomy is the mechanism by which people can operationalize that across the open web, if you will. I know that there are differences in how things would really work from a TikTok point of view versus the open web, but thought I'll just mention that as well. From your conversation, can you kind of one of the things that we were very interested in when we started talking with TikTok was the fact that you have this very engaged audience, and it's all a lot of it is so much is user generated content too, right? So can you talk about that and the brand safety challenges that go with that?
I think you're absolutely right in the fact that we are it's a creator space, and actually it's very much a UGC environment when it comes to the platform. I would say that when you flick through your For You feed on TikTok, you'll see mostly content coming from creators, but we're also starting to see media brands being on the platform, and more actually. So it's actually, we have a lot of diversification into the content that is being pushed on the platform. And I guess the challenge for us is to control billions of videos who are being uploaded on the platform. And I think, as the transparency report said, like it's really great to see that our AI mechanism has the ability to block 90% of the content before the first view, and that 96% also of the content that is violating our community guidelines are being reported rapidly. I think in the US only, all of this content is actually removed within 24 hours once it's posted on the platform. And we make sure, obviously, to have multiple sets and layers of control, which goes from, obviously, step 1 is the AI, step 2 is a first verification from human eye, then step 3, is another verification from a third human eye. So it's really important for us to mix sort of the type of background that you have when you look at the video, and to make sure that it's in line with the local perspective of the market and how people interact locally. It's very important for us to understand that. So I would say that we we measure sort of the challenge of the brand safety and brand suitability and how important this is for us and for brands on the platform. But we make sure that we start with the user first, and we make sure to educate our users through videos and different TikTok channels where we actually say, this is the type of content we should promote on the platform. And as I said, it should be always about positivity and inclusivity. That's the type of message that we push to our community. We start with the community when it comes to content, and we focus on the community when it comes to brand safety.
Right. And actually, to that point, can you discuss the scale of the media here? I mean, it's obviously TikTok is obviously doing fantastic from an adoption user engagement point of view. What kind of scale are we talking about, and why is it appealing to the brands? I mean, how do you make them comfortable that that they are going to be, their ads are going to show up in brand safe environments? What kind of things do you do around that?
I think the first thing that we tend to expose to brand is the community guidelines, and often most brands who come to TikTok for the first time are very surprised. So it's actually pretty enlightening to see that when we start pitching brand safety by TikTok, people often say that they're amazed by how much effort, but also how fast we've moved into the space of brand safety in only a little less than 2 years, to be honest. So I would say we always start by sharing the community guidelines. I think the second bit that where we spend time with brand is to explain sort of the policies and how we work with the local NGOs. And the third piece is also making sure we explain our formats and how the formats are being controlled. We talked a bit on ad agency, and this is really something really important for us as we move forward, and explaining to brands that you can actually control what happens after and before and after your videos. That's really key. As you know, we are obviously committed also to work on the content taxonomy, and this is really important for us to work on specific metadata and keywords we're going to block on the platform. We also do it as a first party, obviously, to block specific keywords on the platform, but this is something we're going to keep on enhancing thanks to our relationship with you guys.
That makes a lot of sense. And actually, to that point, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I just remind also everyone that you can report and block a user very easily. Like it's super easy to press and hold your screen, and you can report anyone on the platform. And that's the best way also for us to learn as a company, and to help our AI obviously enhance and move faster into the space. But yes, sorry to interrupt.
I absolutely agree that moderation is one of those areas which I think is people are particularly sensitive about right now. So I think that's tough. It's definitely a tough challenge, though, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So what about? I guess that obviously you work with organizations like GARM and TAG and so on. How much do how important is that? How do brands look at that, and what's the impact in your conversations with them on that?
Yeah, I think we have two objectives when we start working with brands. That we need to explain how to look at the KPIs of the campaign on TikTok. It is true that some of the challenge that we've had across Europe or in the US have had billions of views, and so I would say the first part of our role is to educate agencies and market on how to best sort of use the KPIs of our campaigns, because we are always sort of above the industry benchmark, whether it's on reservation products or on what we call content ad products, which would be for hashtag challenge or branded effects. So the first bit is about education. And then when it comes to third-party vendors, as I said to you in the presentation, we were very proud to announce the OpenSlate partnership with TikTok. It is highly technical and going one step above sort of what the market is proposing by filtering the content pre-bid, so before it gets viewed by the user. The broad market is looking at sort of post campaign analysis, and we're actually offering pre-bid analysis, which is pretty unique. I think beyond OpenSlate, we will launch other third-party, obviously, partnerships in 2021. And as you bear with us, it's coming very rapidly. And I think in terms of relationship with you guys at the ADTECH Lab, we have an open measurement SDK that is compliant with your guidelines. And I think this is allow us also to move faster into a relationship with third parties and vendors. And so this is definitely another space where we want to move fast.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And actually, moving on to a slightly different but kind of related topic from a scale point of view, I guess. How do you create brand suitable environments across geographies and languages and cultural differences? I mean, I know just the cultural differences are probably quite significant when you think about it, right? So how do you deal with those kind of things?
I think, so there's a few aspects. The first one is about investing into our global presence and global footprint. So we have 3 trust and safety centers, one in the US, one in Dublin, and one in Singapore. So really important for us to hire the right talent in the right markets, making sure we cover, as you said, rightly so, the specificities of each territory where we operate. So that's, I think, number one priority is definitely to hire fast and to build very comprehensive sort of trust and safety teams and people who have the experience and the background to understand the content that they're promoting on the platform. Obviously, we have the machine. Also, I think our safety controls is, I would say, is the starting point of our relationship with users, whether you're located in X, Y, and Z market. We want to make sure that you have the ability to control you as a user, the content that you see on your platform. And obviously, then you have the human verification, where we have thousands of people that are looking at the content on a daily basis. As I said to you before, in every market where we operate, we have moderators and people on the trust and safety team who control the videos. We are currently present in 150 markets, 75 languages. So we do have an extensive and robust sort of a moderation teams. I think in Europe only we cover about 45 languages, so which is pretty extensive. Then obviously we need to have some really robust and strict community guidelines, super important. And I think this is really highly valued also to take into the local perspective of each and every market when we build those guidelines at scale. Compliance with local laws, really important. Obviously we're in Europe, so we need to be highly compliant, and then sharing locally our algorithm and how we work with local jurisdiction is also one way for us to make sure that we are, despite the scale, it's a safe environment wherever we operate.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So I guess before we check on to see if there are any questions from the audience, I did want to kind of tie in, so just so everyone has the context around some of the Tech Labs initiatives. You already mentioned the content taxonomy. You already mentioned open measurement. I think those are probably the 2 main areas where the Tech Lab has invested in as far as standards go. So from a content taxonomy point of view, all the concepts about brand safety floor categories, the suitability levels, the low, medium, high tolerance levels, those are things that are now encoded within the content taxonomy. And open measurement has general measurement features as well, but we're also working on things like ad swapping support, where if you find that an ad does not match, is not really suitable, then you can swap it out for a different ad. Things like that are on the works there. But beyond that, we also we consider user experience, and I think you also mentioned that as being very critical from a brand safety point of view, right? So brands having a good user experience, it makes people more happy with what they're seeing, including the ads that they're seeing. So if you see a bad ad, if you see an ad in a bad user experience, that's always not a good thing to have. So that's something that we've been talking about as well. And probably the last piece that I like to talk about from a Tech Lab point of view is ad fraud. Now that may not be immediately tied to brand safety, but it obviously makes sense if you think about how brands really do not want to be funding fraud, right? They do not want to be involved with fraud at all. So that's part of that's the reason why it's part of our brand safety pitches. So that's basically the main set I have. I'm checking if there are any questions so far. I don't think there are any from the audience. But Anna, do you want to wrap up with any last comments? Any thoughts as far as both TikTok and your point of view? What's important from a brand safety point of view as we go into 2021?
I think I want to thank you again for having us tonight. I think it's important that we support fully the initiative of the IAB Tech Lab. We want to speak the common languages of digital media thanks to you guys, and we're very much looking forward to 2021 and to be the good partners and the best partners with you guys, working obviously with the Open Measurement SDK and making sure we align with the initiative that you carry on broadly for us globally. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Really happy to hear that. And I think that's all we have for this session and actually for the day, if I'm right. So thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you Anat for the call today.
Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye bye.
Have a good weekend.